To get people excited about Boost Mobile's new nationwide 5G network, we're offering unlimited talk, text, and data for $25 a month.
Forever.
Even if you have a baby.
Even if your baby has a baby.
Even if you grow old and wrinkly and you start repeating yourself.
Even if you start repeating yourself.
Even if you're on your deathbed and you need to make one last call.
Or text.
Right, or text. The long-lost son you abandoned at birth.
You'll still get unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month with Boost Mobile.
Forever!
After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Unlimited plan.
Forever.
Opinions will always differ, and so they should, because everyone draws from different influences. Parents, peers, politics, education, media, culture. What you believe depends on who you believe. Financial Times readers know that their opinions are reliable because they're shaped by trusted journalism. Robust opinions. Confident decisions. Source, FT. To subscribe, go to ft.com/sourceft.
If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Fuck, this hurts so much.
Yeah, I know. But that is life. Nothing else, that's life, you know. It's real. Sometimes it fucking hurts. But yeah, it's sort of all we have.
Hello, guys, and welcome to a new episode of Hollywood Gold. I'm your host, Daniela Taplin Lundberg, and I'm here with my brand new co-host, Vanessa Mendel. Well, not brand new, Vanessa.
Not brand new. I've done this before.
But now you're official.
I know. Now there's a lot of pressure on me because now I'm actually going to have to match up to Bex, which is hard.
Well, you're a natural chatterbox, so this will be real fun. I think it's going to be it's going to be a good thing. I meant that as a compliment. I saw your eyes go dead.
I was like, oh no, no, I have to shut up.
No, but people love to talk to you. They give you all their secrets, and you're always coming to the office with like the latest LA gossip, which I love.
It's true. I've got all the gossip.
The
My
scoop.
hair is full of secrets.
We love scoop in the office. Anyways, to inaugurate the first episode of the third season, we're about to jump into one of my all-time faves, Garden State, with the fabulous Pam Abdy.
Which is one of my favorite movies of all time, by the way.
So good. I've rewatched it. I know it came out at a time when we were probably all in awkward phases of life, but I will tell you, this movie holds up, and I think it like set the tone for many movies subsequent to it. It sort of like felt like a brand new voice and a sort of quirky approach to filmmaking that sort of took a foothold. But I just rewatched it, and that's Zach Braff. He's like so talented.
He's so charming. And I was recently reading an article about this, how people have since made movies like Garden State. So now everyone makes fun of Garden State, but we kind of forget that Garden State was the original quirky movie. No one had been doing it this way before.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. It's such a happy movie.
I think the thing that I loved that I discovered that it was made by all people from New Jersey. So they had a proper affection for New Jersey, and it wasn't meant to be ironic or anything. It was just like their real experience growing up. So we're about to get underway with the great Pam Abdy, who is such a phenomenal producer and executive and someone I deeply respect. So let's get going.
Let's do it.
Pam Abdy, the esteemed producer and executive, is so good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Thank you so much for joining me today. We're about to dive into Garden State, which I just rewatched last night, by the way.
Oh, that's cool.
It is as good as it ever was. I mean, it was one of those films that when it came out was so cool and iconic. And I remember sort of meeting you. You don't remember this, but I have this crazy memory for things like this. And I remember walking into your office and you had a picture with your team at the Independent Spirit Awards, maybe. or something.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I just remember being like, that must have been the most fun movie to make. It seemed like it.
Oh, yeah. It really was.
So we're going to just go back into the memory banks. And I want you to tell me the first memory of finding this and then take me through the journey.
Great. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
It's so funny going back into the memory bank of this movie because it feels like it was yesterday, but it's clearly it was 20 years ago it was released. And then, so that means 22 years ago is when I first came across the script.
I feel like it just came out yesterday, by the way.
No, I know. It's weird, right?
Yes.
It's so weird. I don't know. But at the time, I was president of production at a really cool production company called Jersey Films. And I had started my career there in the 90s as an intern and worked my way up to producing.
I just want to say, I read your bio and there was a story of Danny DeVito being like, I'll take her as my assistant. Is that true?
It is true.
Okay.
Because I used to answer the phone, because I started as an intern, then I was the reception. They hired me as the receptionist. That was my first true job, paying job in the industry. I had been a PA before that in Boston on The Next Karate Kid, but I didn't get paid for it. So this was my first true paying job. And I was a receptionist and I would answer the phone, hello, Jersey Films, and sit at the front desk. And my accent was very, very thick back then because I grew up in New Jersey.
I love it.
I mean, it'll come out. You'll hear it coming out here, but it was extra thick back then. And Danny's from New Jersey. So when he would call Stacy or Michael, I was like the kid from Jersey at the front desk. So that's how that happened.
Love it.
Changed my life.
Okay.
So I was president at the time. And funnily enough, I got the script from Kevin Huvane, who I am forever grateful for being in my life. And he's the person who gave me the script. And he gave it to me because we were supposed to be producing this other really cool indie movie. And I had submitted it to him for one of his clients. And she didn't end up doing that film. But then a different one of his clients ended up doing that film. And that's a whole nother story, but
another pod.
Jersey didn't end up producing it. We respectfully parted ways with that film. That was a great film, whatever. It just was timing wise was something. And Kevin called me and said, I have the perfect script for you. I know you're going to love it. It's by this guy. It's called Large's Arc, which was the name of it at the time. And it's written by this young writer-director. He's never directed a film before. His name is Zach Braff. And he had just done one season of Scrubs. So he was kind of new, right?
Oh my God. Okay.
But Kevin said to me, he said, based on how much I know you love this other movie, I'm telling you this is the perfect movie for you. So I went home that night, living in my apartment, and I read the script and I cried. And then I reread it again that night. And I was like, oh, this movie is me. I'm this character. I left New Jersey.
Literally, I'm already crying. I'm ready.
I know. I was like, I left New Jersey. This is my life. And obviously not his parents' life, but that feeling of growing up in this town where your dreams are so kind of in reach, but you never think you can possibly do them. And then you leave to chase your dreams, and then forces that pull you back home to confront all these things that you ultimately left behind.
And was Zach from Jersey?
Yeah, Zach's from New Jersey too. Very close to my town where I grew up.
Oh my God. Where'd you grow up? Okay.
I grew up in Wayne and then Florham Park, which is northern Jersey. And Zach grew up in South Orange, which is 15 minutes from Florham Park.
We are loving you. My producer is nodding because he's from New Jersey and we're just all in it. Okay,
Jersey
love
strong,
it. Okay.
Jersey strong. We love it. We'll always be I'm always going to be a Jersey girl. But anyway, so I read this script and I called Kevin and I was like, you were right. I absolutely love this script. And I asked to meet with Zach, and we had a meeting, and I still have it was very sweet when I don't know if it was when we wrapped. It was a gift. He gave me a gift, which is the letter from CAA, because this is back in the day when things weren't emailed.
Printed, man.
You had a printed letter and a script with a red CAA cover and a person delivered the script to you and you sat down and you opened the script and it was like the dream of dreams. And I still print scripts when I'm like things I'm working on like notes and stuff. But anyway, I met with Zach and we just totally connected on a creative level and also kind of, just on a personal level, because we both had grown up in New Jersey and we knew all these kinds of characters. And he so distinctly wrote people that each one of us growing up in this area of the country kind of knows. We all had these kinds of friends in our lives, and it just felt so relatable. And he's such a tremendous writer, and just the dialogue and the characters. And, he also sent along the soundtrack that he wrote when he was writing the music he was listening to. And every song except for one is in the film.
I can't believe that. And it's such a good soundtrack. It was iconic. I mean, it was great. You guys won a Grammy for it, didn't you?
We did win a Grammy for it. It was pretty cool.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And had Zach been to film school? He had, right?
Yes, he went to Northwestern and he went for film school. I mean, he acted as when he was younger. I think as a kid, he did some stuff, but, he's always, his whole goal always to be a writer director, and, he had these windows of time where he could do the movie because
he had scrubs.
So it always had to be on his hiatus. So the first thing we did when we decided to team up was cast the movie, because we knew that to get the movie financed, we were going to need to have cast. So funnily enough, right around the time I read the script, I had just had a meeting with Natalie. This was when she was in college. She came in to meet with us at Jersey, and we just, we're talking about just how, things we can work together at Jersey. And Zach said to me, when I was writing it, I always had Natalie Portman in mind for this character. I mean, I don't know that she'll ever do it, but that's my dream, to get Natalie play the role. And we sent it to her and she said, she said yes. So Natalie was in it.
And Pam, how did you finance at Jersey? Like, what was the structure?
We didn't. We were a production company. You
were just producing it.
We didn't have financing. We were just creative producers. We had, at the time, we had a first look deal with Universal Pictures, which, for people who don't know what a first look deal is, as creative producers, you sign a deal where the studio gives you some overhead, and everything you are working on, you submit to that studio first to see if they want to finance it. And if they don't, then you're free to go elsewhere. So we did submit it to Universal first, but we knew that it was a smaller independent film. It wasn't like going to live in the same world as, Jurassic Park or whatever. So
you were like, let's package this up. Let's get a little cast.
Let's package it. Let's get the cast. Let's set us up for the best success to get the financing.
And was Zach always going to be the lead? Like, was that a discussion at all?
Always. No discussion.
Okay.
Yeah. He wanted to star in it and he wanted to direct it.
Okay.
I truly think actors make some of the best filmmakers out there. I mean, if you really examine that transition from performer to behind the camera, it's remarkable how many actor director movies I just absolutely love, because I just think there's a command of performance, but also, actors are the one role on a set that touches every single department, and also has a lot of downtime in between while people are setting up to be observers. So to really observe storytelling from the inside and then be able to take it out.
I love that observation. Totally.
Yeah. I think actors make amazing directors. So anyway, we also did a budget at the time once we got the cast, and the budget was $4 million, I think.
Okay.
I would say it was like 4.2 around there. So then we started to go out to the town. And literally, Zach and I would joke, because we'd go into these meetings, we'd send the script, and everybody obviously loved the script because they would respond to the writing, because how couldn't you? And we'd get a meeting at least, and we'd go there and we'd talk about, and, the question was always like, you're a first-time director. How are you going to direct yourself in a movie? It's very challenging, and all these things. So we did that for a while, and then we missed the first window. We missed the timing on when the first window would have been for him to do the movie. So he went off and did Shakespeare in the Park. while we were continuing to look for financing for the next go round. I think that's the timeline. I might be a little fuzzy, but anyway, we just were getting passed on by everyone. And it was super frustrating, like just totally passed on by people. And then I was at some screening somewhere, and, you know, at the agencies, there's like teams that work with clients, right? Like it's not the old days of like one agent being one person's agent. There was like
the Zach Braff team.
The Zach Braff team, right? So I was at this screening, and this agent, Jim Lefkowitz, came up to me and he was like, "Hi, you know, I'm Jim. I had just met him for the first time. He was like, I'm on Zach Braff's team." And I was like, "Well, if you're on Zach Braff's team, help us get the money for this movie. Like, we have to make this movie. Like, this movie is going to change everything. We have to make this movie." I was like crazy psychopath passion, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, "Okay." So he introduced us to Gary Gilbert, who has gone on to be nominated for Oscars. And Gary's a wonderful guy, but Gary hadn't produced a film yet. Gary came out of mortgages, and he was from Detroit.
Yes, Rocket.
It was Quicken Loans then. I'm not sure what it is now. So we met with Gary. Gary read the script. He loved it. And he said, "Let's go back and say, I will co-fi this movie at the $4 million budget. Let's go back to the distributors so we can make a deal." So we went to all these distribution companies, again, like the Focuses of the world, the Lionsgates, the Searchlights, the Miramax. And we said, you know, we have a co-financier for this. And I think it was Lionsgate who made us an offer, but again, I'm a little fuzzy, but I'm pretty sure it was Lionsgate who gave us an offer. And at the time, we were so grateful to get an offer from someone to do this. But in Gary's mind, he was like, it wasn't like a theatrical commitment. It wasn't, you know, there was no teeth. There was not enough teeth in it, I guess you would say, that you were going to, you know, it was like well, let's see how the movie turns out. And then, but you have distribution with us.
Right.
So to Gary's credit, Gary called me and said, "If you can cut the budget in half, I'll finance the whole thing. And we'll take a risk. We'll make the movie. I believe in the movie. I just want to be on set with you guys so I can really learn from the grounds up how to make a film. And, you know, we'll take a flyer and go to festivals and see what happens." So I'm like, okay.
No way.
We're going to go over to the Gleason's house. They're having some fucking huge party or something.
Supposedly.
Well, yeah, supposedly.
Really? He lives up on the hill. We'll probably go over there right after we bury your mom.
The new Boost Mobile network is offering unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month for life.
That sounds like a threat.
Then how do you think we should say it?
Unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month for the rest of your life?
I don't know.
Until your ultimate demise.
What if we just say forever?
Okay.
$25 a month, forever.
Get unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month with Boost Mobile forever.
After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Unlimited plan.
I used to think buying foundation online was impossible. How am I supposed to find my shade when I can't even get it right in store? Then I discovered Il Maquillage. I took their AI-powered quiz to find my custom match, and wow, this foundation is literally my skin in a bottle. The undertone and coverage are spot on. It's so neutral and weightless, I can't even tell I'm wearing makeup. Plus, with Try Before You Buy, you can try your full size at home for 14 days. Take the Power Match quiz now at ilmaquillage.com/quiz. ILMAKIAGE.com/quiz.
I thought you killed yourself.
What?
I thought you killed yourself.
That wasn't you?
No, that wasn't me.
So I said to Zach and myself and our line producer, Ann Rourke.
Oh, sure.
Legend New York line producer.
Legend.
Ann Rourke, myself, and Zach sat down and we figured out how to get the budget down. So it was like, we got it down to $2.5 million with like a bond and contingency on top of that.
Wow. And were you bonded? Did you end up being bonded?
We were we had a bond and contingency. So we did, it was a 2.5. I think with the contingency it was like 2.75 or something. But we had to make really, you have to, you're a producer, you know how it is. Like you have to roll up your sleeves, you have to make choices. And, everyone worked for scale.
No one's getting rich.
No. We had a $54,000 music budget. And the only reason we got there is because I cut a day from the schedule. So we went from 26 days to 25 days. And I lived with my mom and dad. So we didn't have enough money for me to have housing. So I literally like.
And I'm sure you had another crew member live with you too, just to save money.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
But I used every single person in my childhood's life for help. So the cemetery scene, we got the location for like nothing because my dad's cousin ran the cemetery. We got the MRI machine because a friend of my dad's had an MRI facility. So he let us use the facility and the machine, nothing.
Shut up. By the way, I was like, this is so, like, there is so much care taken with every scene, and we'll get there. But like that kind of thing I was thinking about. I was like, how'd they get that MRI? That's like a real MRI
because
machine.
My dad's friend had a series of MRI machines. Then we, like, another example, we needed to bus in some extras from New York to New Jersey because we were SAG, right? I'm pretty sure we were non-WGA or not. Maybe we were WGA. I'm foggy.
Yeah,
on
it's 20 years.
the logistics of that. But I remember we needed a bus and a bus driver to bring extras. So I called my friend from high school, Anthony Trapasso, who had a bus company, and he gave me the bus and the driver. I mean, literally. They all have special thanks in the movie.
Of course. And that's when your special thanks are like this long because it like takes
it's so
a village.
Cool. It was so cool. My mom would come and like bring food to us and it was honestly the most wonderful, magical time.
So Gary's like, I'm going to fully finance it in cash. We're going to like play the slots. Let's go. And so tell me about your prep process and casting. Like Peter Sarsgaard is just so brilliant.
Well, Peter was attached before we set it up. So we had Natalie, Peter, and Ian Holm and Zach all attached before we got finance.
Fantastic.
We attached everybody before.
And then the rest was just like great casting. I mean, to a T, I noticed like even when he walks in to get his head checked out and that the woman at the desk, I was like, she's great. Like everyone was so good.
Avi Kaufman was our casting.
Avi, the best, of course. Just felt very grounded and good and funny. And
I mean, how funny is Jim? It's Jim Parsons as,
Jim Parsons. Knight. Oh my God. Plays the knight. Unbelievable.
Jean Smart as Peter Sarsgaard's mom, like just amazing.
So good. So good.
I know.
Okay, so you were casting with Avi out of New York. All your cast was like mostly New York based. Natalie had just graduated from Harvard.
She literally came from her Harvard graduation to the set.
I read an interview that like her team was like, this is such a tiny movie. Like, and it was the first time that she had followed her own gut on really casting and sort of becoming an adult. And that was like a major moment. Do you remember that at all?
I do. Cause she went to, I can't remember, Star Wars was during, she picked two movies in the same time period that really, I think, were her choices. It was Closer and Garden State. Both of those roles are totally opposite roles, but I think showcase how brilliant Natalie is.
Two of my favorite parts.
Me too. And she's truly one of the greatest people on the planet. She's one of my dearest and oldest friends, like a sister. And I think she's just she's really one of the most remarkable actresses ever. And I think you could watch those two performances, which came out around the same time, and really see the skill and the craft.
And the maturity, just
dynamic and her maturity from Star Wars into what was going to propel her into that next adult part of her life.
What do you observe about Zach as a filmmaker? Like, did he sort of naturally just get it?
He knew it from the moment you knew from every conversation, like from the moment you had a conversation with him, the script, the shots, how music is a character in the film, what the subtext within the scenes, like you just know, he knows how to speak as a filmmaker. You just know there's nothing derivative about anything that he's saying. It's just all like born to be on the floor doing that.
So was this a script that he had written, recently? Was it something that he had been trying to make?
He started to, I think you'll see in some of his press, he started writing characters and over several years, when he, I even think as early as towards the end of college, and I think, it was that time that taking that time and that discipline to just sit down and write the whole screenplay. I want to say he had just got cast in Scrubs. So he knew that he was going to go do that show. So that gave him the motivation that he was going to start making money as an actor to sit down and complete the screenplay. So he had started writing anecdotes and notes everywhere. And he talks about it a little bit. I think he even wrote some stuff down on Post-it notes and then sat down and completed the whole screenplay right before he started shooting Scrubs.
Talk to me about the shoot and what you observed about him on set. I mean, there's just such a precision to the filmmaking, when he walks into that guest bathroom and the shirt and exactly lines up. And it's really elegant, precise filmmaking. And you didn't have a lot of money. And so I'm always so impressed. I interviewed Jen Todd with Memento, and it's just is that just the filmmaker knowing exactly what they need and how to get it? What was it about him that allowed you guys to execute his full vision? Because it doesn't seem like you guys really compromised. I mean, it was a small movie, but.
We didn't compromise, though. I mean, honestly, we had a wonderful DP, Larry Sher, who had just done this film, Kissing Jessica Stein. And
G'day, America. It's Tony and Ryan from the Tony and Ryan podcast from Down Under.
This episode is sponsored by Boost Mobile, the newest 5G network in the country.
These guys are no longer the prepaid wireless company you might remember. They've invested billions into building their own 5G towers across America, transforming the carrier into America's fourth major network alongside the other big dogs.
Yep, they're challenging the competitors by working harder and smarter, like this amazing new network they've literally built. They have blazing fast 5G and plans for all the latest devices. Visit your nearest Boost Mobile store or find them online at boostmobile.com.
Did you know 1 in 2 women wear the wrong foundation? Matching foundation is hard, but Il Maquillage makes it easy. Take the Power Match quiz to find a perfect match in seconds, customized to your unique skin tone, undertone, and coverage needs. With 600,000 5-star reviews, Woke Up Like This is our best-selling foundation for a reason. Available in 50 shades of weightless natural coverage. And with Try Before You Buy, you can try your full size at home for 14 days. Just pay shipping. Take the quiz at ilmaquillage.com/quiz. That's ILMAKIAGE.com/quiz.
Larry and Zach and myself and our production designer, Judy Becker, we just had all superstar department heads, Michael Lerman, our AD, they've all gone on to become massive people in their fields. But we were all sort of in this same place where we were kind of all just starting our lives and our career. This was my first capital P produced by credit. And, I produced other films, but I was an EP or associate producer or whatever. We were in our 20s, all of us, we were just young and didn't care and had cared, but only cared about the film. And we just figured it out. And I just think Zach was very clear about what his vision was, visually, what he wanted the framing and everything to look like. And we all just sort of figured out how to execute that. And I remember with the pool scene, he said to Larry and I, he's like, we need a techno crane to get this top shot. And I was like, you don't get techno cranes on a $2.5 million movie. We can't afford that. And he was like, we have to have this techno crane. So we paid for it ourselves. I mean, we just figured out how to do things. And we were able, like I said, had we not shot the movie in New Jersey and used all of Zach's relationships from his childhood and my relationships from my childhood to help us get locations and do things, we probably wouldn't have been able to maybe do it on that budget.
But I will say, those are the moments where you guys inserted a certain level of scope that did make it feel bigger. And that doesn't always happen on $2 million movies.
Zach's also really commercial minded. You know what I mean? He makes movies for audiences and he's masterful at blending humor and drama, right? And that's really hard. So that like you're in the middle of this funeral scene and he's like his character is almost like numb because he's just numb from all the pills he's taking that you just saw. And he's been walking through life in a fog. And now he's here at his mother's funeral listening to this woman who's like droning on and on and on about how she designed the bathroom. And then you cut to that bathroom shot with the shirt. I made you a shirt. And then you cut to that bathroom shot and you're like, I'm laughing in the middle of this funeral.
It's totally masterful. It is. It's like you go to crying to laughing. And that is like his brilliance. Talk to me about some of those shots. Because there's that overhead shot that I was like, how do they pull that off?
At the pool?
At the pool. But then there's the shot when they go to the abyss and they like all scream and then you guys pull out. And I was like, how did you guys pull that off?
Well, that is the one
VFX
visual effect shot in the movie. So we went to an actual quarry and we did do the shot that way, but the quarry wasn't deep enough because, you would have had to blow up the place. Sure. But that was the one shot we did enhance with visual effects.
And then the other shot that we were wondering about was the airplane shot at the end, where Zach is static and you're just, you're getting all the passengers go in and out. By the way, it's a ton of extras, it seemed like. And so do you remember how you guys achieved that?
You mean when he's running through the airport?
At the very end, when he's sitting on the plane and then he goes back to Natalie after that.
We did that on a stage here because remember when he's driving in the front, when he's in the traffic on the 405? We didn't have a permit for that, but we put the camera up on one of the overpasses and basically boxed him in to help cause traffic.
Oh my God, I love that. I love details like that. Okay,
that was fun. Yeah. And then, after the movie was bought at Sundance, we did do a couple pickups, we did some pickups in the airport because we ran out, we didn't have enough money to do the run through the airport or the phone and all that stuff. So
did you pick up those last shots in the airport?
Not the airplane scene because that was done on a fake airplane on a stage locked off, but no, just the LAX stuff at the end where they're running.
Got a little buzz. I got that. What you got?
I got a little buzz going, and I like you. So there's that. I guess I have that.
Talk to me about the soundtrack because it feels like it is mostly needle drops as opposed to score. I mean, I feel like I detected a little bit of score, but the score was really these cues.
Yeah.
And so that was always in Zach's head. And
always.
How were you confident you guys were going to get the licenses for those songs? And just talk me through that a little bit.
Well, Coldplay was first. So he sent the script and he wrote a really impassioned letter to Chris Martin and to the band. And they said yes. And we were like, what? So once we got them, the Shins he had written into the script. That was part of the script from the beginning.
Did you guys have permission before you shot that scene from the Shins?
Yes. And we locked in a lot of the music early on. So we hired Amanda Demi and Buck Damon to be our music supervisors. And because Zach really had the vision from the beginning about the music, we were able to clear a lot of the songs very early in the process. And we just set up this tier system so that if and when the movie got bought, then people could participate. And we ended up getting the album deal afterward and all that stuff.
So everyone really participated, but you had all those songs going in. That's incredible producing.
Well, the only reason we were able to do it is because the bands also all took, I think it was like $2,000 a side or something. I don't even know if you could do that today, but
yeah,
we did it and we made deals with everybody so that, like I said, if and when the movie got bought by a studio, everybody would end up participating later. And then the soundtrack album, they would, we had to do a lot of logistics afterwards when Searchlight bought the movie, but we had all those songs cleared before.
I love that so much.
There was one artist who will remain nameless that wouldn't give us the song. She wanted more money, and it was just going to throw off the whole
MFN sort of structure.
thing.
Yeah.
So choosing, and that's the placement for that song was Only Living Boy in New York is what we put in there.
Oh, cool.
So Zach was thinking about what the replacement could be. And one day we were walking down the street in New York after like a location scout, and he was like, he put the headphones on me. He was like, what do you think of this for that scene? And it was that song. And I think it's a great cue there.
So talk to me about like the dynamic on set and like how everyone interacted. I mean, it seemed like there was a lot of camaraderie. You guys were all young. I mean, it's $2 million. Are you guys like sitting under trees and just hanging out like between setups and stuff?
Single honey wagons, but no one was ever in the trailers. You know, you're running and gunning those days. And honestly, because everybody was so young, I mean, there's like great photos around of like Peter playing guitar, like we're sitting on the street in New Jersey and everybody was like smoking cigarettes and we're all like, you know, just outside. And we started shooting in April and May. So it was like, or May and June, we were prepping in April, shot in May and June, and it was like beautiful, you know? So it was magical. I've never had I'm blessed and I've had great experiences in my career, but that was just different. And it'll always be different because it was, like I said, like we were all in our 20s just hustling.
And believing that something was special that was special.
Yeah. And we all came together for that same reason. And it was to try and make something that was going to affect everyone. And it affected youth culture at the time, you know, like, it was our voices telling this story to our generation. So that part's cool. The part that's cool for me now in retrospect, you know, 20, all these years later, is my friends' kids are now discovering this film. So that part's really wild.
Okay. So this phrase, manic pixie dream girl, are you familiar with this?
I mean, I've heard about it.
And it feels like, just in my reading, it was sort of a trope that became imitated in quite a few other films. Did you feel that at all?
No, because our inspiration, the movies that inspired us that we talked about were like, you know, Harold and Maude or Annie Hall or like, you know, just no one used words like manic pixie dream in 2002. I'm sorry, just we didn't do that. This was about two unlikely people coming together and falling in love. And like when Harry met Sally, you know, it's like, that's the tones and the vibe we were going for. It wasn't, you know, I heard about it many years later, I guess.
I've interviewed a lot of like producers where like the edit takes a while and then some, it sort of comes together and the first cut you see, you're like, oh, it's there.
No, we lost a whole big section.
Tell me.
So there was in the script remember when he goes to Ian home at the end and he's going to leave, it used to flash back to the mom in the bathtub. And was it suicide? Did Ian home let her drown? Like it took you out of the point of view of Large and the dad. And I can't remember. Zach just did a podcast with someone. I can't remember who gave him the note, but it was one of those things that was in there for a while. We screened it for friends and family, and he got the note of it. And they were right. We had to lift that, you know, it was running long a little bit, but it wasn't really about the length. It was that emotionally, you didn't want to go there because the emotional resolution needed to be between Large and his father, and Large being like, I'm okay. And I'm not going to live like that anymore. Like, this is who I am, you know?
And by the way, I feel like he's already on his healing journey. And to like go back there, I think that feels like a really, really smart edit. But it's like when something's baked into a script forever and ever, it's so hard to like let go of those
and it's
things.
hard for like writer-directors sometimes to kill their babies. But, you know, I find the editorial process one of the most brilliant parts of the process because it's like a chance to rewrite again in a weird way, you know, and
yes,
I find it fascinating. I love editorial. I find it fascinating.
So the film really, really came together. You submitted it to Sundance, and you guys, I presume, all went out there. Talk to me about
Oh my
that.
God, it was the most fun. My parents came, my brother came, Zach's whole family was there. We all were there. You know, it was great. Our first screening was at the Eccles, and it was on that Friday. And then Gary Gilbert he rented this house for everyone, and they threw like a after event for all of our friends and family that was there. It was so fun. And while we were there, the first offer came in, and Andrew Hurwitz was doing the deal with us alongside CAA, and everybody had to make offers to even get in the room with us. So then the whole negotiations, the bidding war started.
When you screen the movie, and we've talked to a lot of we did Little Miss Sunshine, we've done all these movies that had their launch from Sundance. When you sat in the Eccles screening, was it moment one that you felt like the audience really got it and they laughed at the right moment?
Oh, they got it right from the top, and it was like a rock concert afterwards, and it was,
oh my God.
Honestly, I was crying. It was the best. It was one of the best things ever.
You knew it was as soon as the screening ended, you were going to be sold quickly. You had that feeling.
Oh yeah, because we had 3 or 4 hours already that by Friday night, and then the next day we had another screen. They do multiple screenings over the weekend, so we had to do a Q&A. But then we went to the house where the lawyers had, and all the studio executives came to meet us to pitch to us why they passed on us before, but now they want the movie. So that was kind of awesome.
So how did you decide on Fox Searchlight?
Well, Searchlight has domestic and Miramax has international. So
you were dealing with Harvey at that time?
Yes. And he sort of did this, he kind of usurped the process in a weird way. And I guess called Peter Rice and said, hey, let's just do this together. We both want this. Let's do it together. So we ended up doing it together. But I mostly dealt with Peter.
And so what else do you remember about that time? Because it feels like it really was one of these Cinderella stories where it's a $2 million movie.
I mean, that was the same year as Napoleon Dynamite too, at Sundance.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
It was a magical time in the business for new voices, independent cinema. Every once in a while you get that indie vibe back again, right? I think what the A24 guys are doing is remarkable. And it reminds me of what it was like in the early 90s when I started with independent cinema and Sundance and Searchlight and, October Films back then. And, all the,
Bingham
Miramax,
Ray, all those guys.
Miramax,
Yeah.
All of it. I don't care. Miramax at the time was the quintessential indie studio, but
totally.
I miss those days, I just miss those days. And it was, I don't know if there'll ever be a time like that. I'm nostalgic for it. And I'm feeling very nostalgic now because we're celebrating the 20-year anniversary this year,
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's so cool to go back and revisit it.
Why do you think, and you kind of answered this a little bit before, but why do you think it has sustained in the way that it has? It really is a legacy film that people still love so much. I think the filmmaking is just chef's kiss. It really does sustain, even watching it 20 years later. I think it's as good as I ever did. And I think it's as clever and filled with heart as I ever did. You've made a ton of movies. And this one, I find this with my friends and with me, there's just certain movies that people just hang on to and they become your legacy.
I think it hits a nerve. I think it hit a nerve at the time in 2004. And I still think it hits a nerve today. I think it's the combination of the humor, the emotion, the relationships, the defined characters that they just stand the test of time. If you go back to any of the classic movies that you loved growing up, why do you keep revisiting them? Because they kind of feel like a warm hug, right?
Yes.
Those characters, they're living and breathing. And, I just think those movies that tap into emotion, high emotion. And I think Garden State does that, coupled with, like you said yourself, a kick-ass soundtrack. I think it brings people back to a time in their lives that makes them remember something joyful that was going on around the time they experienced that story. And I just think the movie has that quality because everybody can relate to meeting someone that makes you feel great. And meeting someone who sees you for the first time in the way you always want it to be seen. And that's both Large's character and Sam's character. You know, they both came from places where they were a little bit odd and a little bit quirky and never felt 100% comfortable in their own skin. Yet together, they both felt really great. And I think everybody, no matter who you are, can relate to that. And a lot of people can relate to leaving home and coming back home. And what does it mean to come home? And like, what is family? And what does family look like? And I think the movie just has that. So it resonates with different generations. And that's why I think some of the young people find it still.
Well, there's just something so hopeful and romantic.
Yeah.
And yet at the same time,
which we need now more than ever.
And I just was like so charmed by the fact that like there wasn't really any cynicism in it, you know, like he was so cool. You guys had the coolest actors, the coolest soundtrack, and yet it was just filled with heart. Like it really loved every character in it.
I think that's its superpower, really. I think movies sometimes in their not being cynical, because we live in a world of cynicism, I think that's a superpower sometimes, you know, I really feel.
It makes me so emotional and weepy. Okay, I am loath to like ask the question about sequels because I really don't believe every movie should have a sequel, but I'm so curious with a successful movie like this and unique characters like this, were you guys ever approached or tempted to like try to revisit where they end up, or no, it was just like it was a perfect thing and that's what it was?
Yeah.
I love that. Okay.
Yep. No, we didn't ever talked about that.
The movie is not a dream. Do you know that that's a theory, a conspiracy theory about the movie, that the entire thing is a dream?
No. What? What do you mean? Wait, I didn't read this. Is it on Twitter?
It's on Reddit.
Oh God.
And Twitter.
I clearly I'm like a nana that I don't read this stuff on Reddit.
You're the better for it. Okay. It's not a dream.
It's not a dream.
Okay. Love it.
I can't wait to tell Zach that. I'm going to be like, I got to ask the question if the movie was a dream. Do you know that on Reddit it says that the movie is a dream? It's not a dream. It really happened.
You're a legend. Keep doing all the amazing things you're doing. Thank you for doing this. I adore you.
Oh my God, of course. Thank you for asking me. It's so cool of you. And it's great to see you.
It's so good to see you. I will come visit you when I come to LA. See you soon. Thanks for everything.
All righty.
Bye.
See you soon. Thank you so much.
Because like you said, this is it. This is life. And I'm in love with you, Samantha.
Just love that Pam Abdy. The first time I went to pitch a big project, I was 24 or 25, and my dad gave me the option to The Rise of Theodore Roosevelt, which, Vanessa, we still have on our...
We do. And I have the book on my bookshelf. we're
still trying to get that one made. But he gave it to me when I graduated from college, and he said, I think this should be made into a feature film. And so my partner Celine and I went out, and we knew this producer who had just become partners with Leonardo DiCaprio, and she was talking to him at a party, and he was like, oh, this seems perfect for Leo. So all of a sudden, we brought it to Leo, we pitched Leo, then we brought it to Scorsese because, of course, Leo only worked with like a couple of directors. We pitched it to Scorsese. I was 25 years old. I had this whole pitch that I practiced in the mirror. I was like the top of my game, so nervous. I remember kissing Leo and his father, who was in the pitch for some reason. Goodbye. Just so awkward. I'm even sweating thinking about it. But in any event, Pam Abdy bought the pitch, and she was an executive at Paramount. And I remember we're walking into her office, and she had a picture. She had just produced Garden State like a year or two before. And she had a picture at the Independent Spirit Awards with like Zach Braff and the whole team of Garden State. And I was like, I'm going to be this person someday. I'm going to be Pam Abdy. In any event, so I didn't tell her that extended story, but that's why she remains in my mind as like one of the coolest, smartest execs and producers. And I also remember she wore tennis shoes to her executive job at Paramount, and I thought that was very cool.
Which nowadays is not. Nowadays it's normal. But then she was a fashion
But she was like
starter.
so fashion forward. And I loved hearing that she was like a cheerleader from New Jersey. I mean, she like came from these like very humble roots and worked her way up. So that was so cool. But Vanessa, what are your memories of Garden State? Why does it sort of exist in your lexicon of great movies?
I think it's Natalie Portman's first real big role. And I think it's like the first time she entered the consciousness
besides
of
Leon the
America.
Professional.
Besides Leon the Professional. But I think since she was a kid in that movie, this is the first time she's really being an adult. And I'm sure she made the choice herself to be in it.
Yes.
And it feels like a choice. It's pretty amazing. And I think having not known that before, you could feel it. You could feel that this was her choice, that she was doing something a bit radical for her career.
Yeah.
But it, as a kid watching this movie, was so notable to me. I was like, what a cool girl. And I know from a bunch of guys that I grew up with that they were like, Natalie Portman's my biggest crush. And I think it all starts from this movie. And I just think there's something, even though it's not necessarily a coming of age, it feels very coming of age, and it does it in such a real, grounded way. And it just has always really stuck with me.
I remember watching it in the theater with my then boyfriend, now husband, or maybe he was my husband then. I don't remember. But in any event, we went into the theater, and the thing we came out thinking is that it was the coolest soundtrack we had heard in years in a proper movie. And I think movies so often have a score that feels not hip or of the moment, right? It feels like it's supposed to transport your emotions in one way or in another, but it's not like you're going to go out and buy the soundtrack to the movie. And that used to happen in the 80s a lot. Like I remember the Footloose soundtrack and the Flashdance soundtrack. You guys are too young, but in any event, this was like you would go buy soundtracks because the cues were so cool. And this was the first time I had felt that in a long, long time. And I remember her big scene was that she is listening to the Shins and she puts the headphones on Zach Braff. And that's how they sort of connect for the first time. And I'm like, oh, coolest.
That's the greatest, most flirty
Chef's kiss.
move.
Yeah, the best.
It's so perfect.
It's going to change your life.
It's true.
Yeah.
And having rewatched it recently, that music still holds up. It's so cool. It's they made such good choices. And it's crazy because this year is the 20th anniversary of the movie. And thinking that it was made 20 years ago and it still holds up and still feels incredibly relevant and beloved is amazing.
I'm just so happy we got to do this and sort of commemorate the 20th anniversary, which just means I'm getting older, of this great movie. So loyal listeners, go out and listen or watch this movie and listen to the soundtrack again. You will not be sorry. We have so many great episodes coming this season, right? So we've got Whiplash next week, which I'm so excited to commemorate the 10-year anniversary of that. And they're putting that movie back out in theaters, which is so cool at the end of this month. Cool. So cool. And then we're going to do A Real Pain. We're going to do Goodrich. Hopefully we're going to get Honora. We have Wicked coming up. We've got like so many great movies. Ray, oh my God. The story about the Ray Charles movie is insane. So guys, just tune in, tell your friends, don't forget. And Vanessa, do the wrap up.
Follow us on Instagram at Hollywood Gold. We also have a Stay Gold Features Instagram if you want to keep up with the company. Follow, like, and subscribe to the Hollywood Gold podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and stay gold.
Perfect. Stay gold, guys.
The new Boost Mobile network is offering unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month for life.
That sounds like a threat.
Then how do you think we should say it?
Unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month for the rest of your life?
I don't know.
Until your ultimate demise.
What if we just say forever?
Okay.
$25 a month, forever.
Get unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month with Boost Mobile forever.
After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Unlimited plan.
Did you know 1 in 2 women wear the wrong foundation? Matching foundation is hard, but Il Maquillage makes it easy. Take the Power Match quiz to find a perfect match in seconds, customized to your unique skin tone, undertone, and coverage needs. With 600,000 5-star reviews, Woke Up Like This is our best-selling foundation for a reason. Available in 50 shades of weightless natural coverage. And with Try Before You Buy, you can try your full size at home for 14 days. Just pay shipping. Take the quiz at ilmaquillage.com/quiz. That's ILMAKIAGE.com/quiz.